cops on me. On a mission to be champs since they let me free. Prepare for combat, my adversaries crumble. Face it, I got a reputation for damage. Busters get ready to rumble. They lock me in a cell, have me trapped in a living hell. Though not guilty, I'm still in jail. Brother, I serve my time like a soldier. Maintain composure. My shadow boxing, the fight to the death. Busting boulders, every boxer with a pair of gloves. Best give up love. Here's a man from the makings of a thug. A lethal weapon, mind sharp. And in my heart, there's a wish to shake the world with the flurry of my black fist. Now once a high school dropout, now I'm the $1 million champ. Who's the next to get knocked out?
What's going on, everybody? You know what this is? This is the last episode of the year. Real episode talking about fights and awards. There'll be a recap maybe next week and the week after. But this is another episode of Cheap Seats Box Show. Angelo here, my boy JP. JP, what's up, man?
Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
To all you hoes. What can we say, man? You know, the last show. I mean, shit, we have to at least get something in there, right? You got the last show of the year, you know, the awards. We'll have a quick recap before we get into them. First things first, follow us on Twitter, Cheap Seats Box, iTunes, rate, review. You'll be the next unofficial sponsor. Help us out, Christmas gifts, people. If you haven't, don't be a lazy bastard and go ahead and give me a rate and review on iTunes, and I will shout you out on the inaugural episode of 2018. Welcome to all the listeners. All the platforms. It's everywhere. I'm not even going to go through the list, but there's one. Zoom listener. What is going on, baby? All right, JP. We're going to talk about one before we get into our awards. You know, it's been a good year. Let's be honest. It's been a great year. And I think it capped off with something not great, but it was kind of a great performance. And I think a lot of people were shocked. Some people weren't. A lot of UK fans were not shocked. I think a lot of Canadian fans were, and people rooting against Billy Joe Saunders who were shocked. Yeah. But Billy Joe Saunders just outclasses, outworks, outhustles, outperforms David Lemieux in an easy, damn near shutout. I mean, you could scrape together one or two rounds if you wanted to. You had to want to give him a round to make him feel good. You know, a little participation ribbon at some point in that fight. But Billy Joe Saunders just dominates. Actually puts himself on the stage. Like, look at, you know what? If I'm in shape and I'm focused, I'm at the top of my game, I'm difficult. What'd you think, man?
I think he made me a hater. And I was a hater of his mouth. I was a hater of his antics. But you know what?
I'm a hater of his kid.
Yeah, I ain't like that little bum. But you know what? He talked that shit and he backed it up. So I need to shut up now. Because he went to his home turf and kicked his ass. Talked it, did it. You know? And I like a good trash talker. I just didn't like... Saunders, he was teetering on that Adonis Stevenson thing. And I'm like, I don't like that. But he talked it and he did it. And there is no question, you know... If you see Danny Jacobs online, say my name, say me, say you won't fight me too. Like he put himself in that mix, man. Mm-hmm. And he's holding the belt, so you can't really deny that. And he defended it like that was some championship type shit. That like he really said, yeah, I'm one of the top men out here. So I'm gonna stop hating for now, you know. But I definitely have to respect it. Congratulations.
He shut up the haters, and there was plenty of them, and deservedly so, by the way, because, I mean, let's be honest, he's a fucking asshole, but you can't think of him as a joke anymore. He did what most people said he wouldn't fight a legit guy. The people who were clamoring him to fight any legit guy were all saying David Lemieux's gonna knock his ass out. I didn't do the show last week, but I wanted to make sure I got this out. I had a feeling that his chin would hold up. And if his chin held up, we've seen David Lemieux get outboxed. Yeah. Look, Indom outboxed him. Uh-huh. He just got knocked down 15 times. And I figured his chin would... I don't know. I don't know why. I just figured his chin would hold up. And I thought it would be a closer fight. I thought it was going to be like 7 rounds of fight. But I did pick him to win. So, I don't... It just seemed too easy. Man. You know what I mean? Like, it was too easy. Everybody was for the most part, everybody here on this side of the pond was picking Lemieux for the most part. And a lot of people were like, he's going to outbox him. I didn't think he was going to outclass him like that. And he really did outclass him. There was a couple of warning signs. Was both of these motherfuckers had to get down to the nothings in the weigh-in. And we know Lemieux's always struggling just to get down to 60. And usually Saunders is a fat fuck in between, and that's where he struggles. But the key for me was the fact that he had just fought a few months ago. So I figured he would be sharper than he was in that last fight. Was it Akavov? And
Monroe?
Willie Monroe. That was the one where he punched. That was the fight before where his son did his. But he just fought Monroe, so he was going to be. He wasn't going to start from a higher weight. He was going to be a little bit more in shape because there'll still be some remnants of that training camp left over. So he was going to be sharper. He was going to be easier for him to make the weight. I mean, he had to get down to nothing too. But when I saw Lemieux get into the ring, and you saw his stomach, and he looked soft, and it was like, it seems to me like he had a fat camp, and I was like, And in that first round, first 2 rounds actually, like he was just getting hit with jabs, like, and he couldn't do nothing with it, and then he would swing wildly, way out of distance, like trying to reach him, and you knew, he's hoping to hit that one shot.
I made a reference to that. And the thing, I was like, Angelo says he just throws the fastballs. And if he can time them fastballs, that's going to be a problem. And basically, he was like, yeah, come here. Take this with you. Take this with you. Take this with you. Oh, whoa, you thought you was going to hit me with that. Take this with you. Like, And kudos to him listening to his corner. He, they told him, don't rush it. Just take your time, pick them apart. And shit.
You know what I thought he did really well, too, was that he didn't just get on his back foot, which he did a lot, and on his back foot and move around. But there were times when he stayed in the pocket, and Lemieux still wouldn't throw. And then you knew,
it was over.
He's got him. There's really nothing he can do at this point. Because now, not only does he have him at the distance he wants him, but when he comes inside on him, when he's in range, he's saying, I'm confident enough in 2 things. 1, I can take your punch, and 2, that I know what's coming, and I know, like you said, it's a fastball, and I just do a quick move and a boop, jab. Or when you get ready to punch, I'll just jab you. I mean, he was eating jabs all night.
You know what it reminded me of? You remember when he fought Triple G?
Mm-hmm.
That's basically the same damn game,
yeah.
man. Basically
just
the
jab his
same
ass to death.
Yeah, right. Just bap, bap, bap. Because that was the time we was like, Triple G could throw a jab, but it was just the same shot. Like, shit.
And you know what's funny is Triple G's jab has not been that good before or since.
Yeah,
it's a Lemieux thing. It is a Lemieux thing. I think that's.
Or if Paulie Malignaggi could just come up and wait one last time, I know I can win that fight.
Yeah. Hey, look, who knows what's next for Saunders? I said that there had to have been some kind of agreement. A Canelo fight is in his future, whether it's next or whether it's after the Triple G fight, because Saunders the belt holder. He comes over and fights a Golden Boy guy on his home turf as the champion. It almost seems like there was something there, like, hey, listen, you come here, you win this, we got something for you on the back end. I just can't see, especially as big as an asshole as he is, that he would do anything like that without having some reassurances that there's going to be something on the back end. That's just my guess.
I like the guess. I just don't like the politics of the business.
Yeah.
This is a crapshoot right now.
But I think, like I said, this capped off a great year. Now it slowed for a while. There was a little bit of dull moments here towards the end. It started fast. It ended with a great performance, not necessarily a great fight. The last couple weekends, because I didn't even get on the Rigo Lomachenko thing. Yeah, the fights didn't live up to what we hoped they were, but there was actually still some big storylines. The Rigo quit. The Saunders performance, it put 2 guys in the light, the exact opposite of what people thought.
Yeah.
People had this one idea of Rigo going into the fight. After the fight, a totally different idea of him. And the people who loved him, and then Saunders haters had the exact opposite. Like, you had to respect his performance and what he did against the top middleweight. I think he just capped off a great year.
You just basically profiled me.
No, but I mean, it really did though. I mean, what could you do? You know?
Shit. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's part of putting our predictions on air. And
Hell yeah, that's what happens.
Like, hey, you open yourself up to it because God knows I've had some horrific ones. Like shit, you know what? I was thinking like, the first episode of 2018 is always our State of Boxing address. Man, mine was terrible. Man, usually we got some really good ones. Man, mine was awful this year. Almost everything I predicted was wrong. It happens, man. Go
This
back
is
and listen
America.
to
We don't remember shit. You ain't got to break it up.
I'm deleting the episode as we speak.
You don't even have to delete it. You can just say, what? Yeah.
Didn't happen, wasn't me.
Yeah, exactly.
But a great year, and what better way to finish it off than the Cheap Seats Boxing Awards show, man.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is our fifth round of year-end awards.
This is gonna be.
I'm trying to think of who. I think the first year, because it was 2013, because we started 2012, but we didn't do one because we started towards the end. And in 2013, Rigo was Fighter of the Year for us.
Right.
And then I'm trying to think, man. I'm trying to think of all our Fighters of the Year. I think it was like,
we had a lot too.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was Manny.
It might have been Rigo, Floyd, Manny, maybe Ward. No,
last year.
Oh shit!
You gave it to Ward. I didn't.
We had the flip flop thing.
Yeah.
We had a blank one year, I believe.
Yeah, we did leave it in blank, didn't we?
So
that's the kind of hard hitting shit that you get from us. We have our own little categories that we like to play on because everybody does the same thing: Fight of the Year, Fighter of the Year, Round of the Year, Knockout of the Year. Yeah, we've all seen those, and they're fun, and everybody has to get those in. But what about a guy that came out of nowhere? First category, the fighter who came out of nowhere. You got a couple of suggestions, and
my number two.
Yeah, there you go.
Rungvisai.
Mm-hmm.
He like, who's this guy Chocolatito's fighting? And then he got, Chocolatito got robbed, which he did.
Yeah, he did.
And then the second fight, you like, who the hell is this dude? Like, where the hell did he come from?
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention which name we talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, for my number two, that's definitely, the number two fighter for that one. Because people still, in some ways, don't know who he is.
No, especially because that weight, it kind of locks people into like, they don't get so interested in that. You know who my number two is, and the first thing is he didn't deserve to win his fight that he did win, and but two, he's got another huge fight on the horizon whenever he decides he's going to take it. Jeff Horn literally comes out of nowhere. People had seen the name, like this mandatory guy out of Australia. He gets the Manny fight. To me, he loses minimum of 8 rounds as the rain starts to drop. He moved a minimum of 8 rounds. He loses against Manny, gets the hometown decision, but still, look, he still came out of nowhere. He just had the defense last week on Wednesday. But he's got a Terrence Crawford fight looming. So look, he's going to translate that fucking gift decision and milking that title. He said he might fight Anthony Mundine or Mundine. No, Mundane is the actual fucking feeling I have. It's that fight will be mundane. But Anthony Mundine, a huge fight, I guess, in Australia, right? I think he just wants that to keep on going with 2 white guys fighting for a welterweight title. 2 fights in a row, man. Just right there. But Jeff Horn's my number 2, and I'll go into my number 1 because it was your number 2, and it is Sisrakit Sorungvisai. What can you say? Yeah, he got the gift decision, but you know what? Give credit to both guys. They both took that rematch right away. It was a brutal fight. He beat up Chocolatito, but for only Chocolatito to return the rest, after that knockdown early on, to, I thought, dominate that fight and give it as good as he took it. And then you get the knockout in the second fight, basically taking the fight out of Chocolatito where he looked like he wanted to cry when he was on the ground. And when you do that to what was the number one, the widely recognized number one fighter in the world, how can you not be the guy who, because he really did come out of nowhere, because people were not talking about this guy. Yeah, he had fought Quadras before, but people didn't know him.
Yeah, like, and my number one is the flip flop of that, Horn.
Okay, see,
because do you realize that Jeff Horn has not received a third of the hate that Timothy Bradley did for a Manny Pacquiao victory? When they came up with the fight on ESPN, everybody was like, who the hell? Man, this is some bull. Like, Jeff Horn, nobody know who knows. We was calling him Joe Horn, the old Saints player.
Yeah.
Like, now he's a champion of the world, and still people are still like, who the hell is this dude? Like, Jeff Horn, what? And Terrence Crawford. This is crazy. When you can beat a legend and a current, basically pound for pound king type of fighter is on your radar and people still don't know who you are, you got to be, you went from nothing to something. And and added to that, Manny Pacquiao doesn't seem like he doesn't even exist right now.
I know.
So, it's just crazy.
So we just had the same guys, just in opposite spots.
Absolutely.
See, this is what we do. We don't come to consensus. Fuck that. We're individuals. We have our own thoughts and shit. I guess the consensus is those were the top two guys in this one. Look, the second category. What is the second category? What did I write down?
Fighter
who
lost the most without losing the fight.
So this is a unique. This is one of our own unique ones. It's a fighter who lost the most, like who fell the most, but actually never lost a fight this year. Who you got, JP?
Okay, number 3, Canelo, because he was actually the face of boxing, pay-per-view king, and more importantly, the A side of the equation. A draw kind of throws a monkey wrench in that, because even with a rematch, you can't necessarily say you're the A side if you're fighting the same guy you got in a draw with. So, personally, I think he lost the fight. Close fight, though. But what wound up happening is, with people like Lomachenko, star power rising, if he would have had a decisive victory, the energy would be different towards him. That's in my opinion. So that's why he's my number 3.
My number 3 is Keith Thurman. Now, this one's a little odd because, hell, he unified at the beginning of the year. But since is not to be seen. He's always hurt. He fights once a year. I mean, is there more? People know the name, but it's hard to even remember his fights anymore because they're so infrequent. And for a unified champion to be there, it's kind of shocking. I mean, then you saw what happened with the interview with Errol Spence, right? And he seems to want zero to do with that fight. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, well, I got to come back first and fight that one before I fight, Errol Spence. Like, yeah, but you only fight once a year. So basically you're saying I ain't fighting him until 2019. That's basically what you're saying because his track record shows he only fights once a year. And he's very happy fighting once a year. I mean, I just don't. I don't know. He lost a lot. He lost a lot of credibility in that interview because people were high on him. Right. And they still are, but they lost some respect for him because it's like you wanted all these unifications, and then as soon as there's a guy who looked like he might beat you, then all of a sudden you're like, oh well, we'll see what happens. I gotta come back and test this thing, this hand out and this wrist and everything else, and my forehead and my elbow, whatever else he's hurt since he's been gone. But Keith Thurman is my number 3. My number 2 is a guy who people don't even know he fights anymore. Gary Russell Jr. He just sits there and Do you even remember who he fought last?
No.
Do you know who's going to fight next? Now, supposedly he's supposed to fight Jojo Diaz next.
Yeah.
And the thing is I'm sure he'll probably be a favorite to beat Jojo Diaz. But I want Jojo to win just because I want somebody who's actually, especially a champion who's actually going to fight. And that's why it kills me with these champions who want to do the one time a year thing. Like, I get it if you're old. If you're 37, 38 years old, you're on that Klitschko, Pacquiao, Mayweather type thing. Like, hey, I want to do it once a year, maybe twice a year. I get it. But when you're in your prime and you're doing once a year, he's another guy who's always hurt. I mean, he's one of the most irrelevant champions who actually people respect him as a fighter, but just not his desire to always fight. He'll fight the top guys because he's fought in Lomachenko. He's going to fight Jojo Diaz. He's willing to fight these guys. He was trying to get the Mares fight back in the day. But Jesus Christ, he just doesn't fight, man.
You know, I agree with those two, but I didn't put those on my list. But my ideology is on the complete opposite end of that spectrum right now, but I'm staying consistent. Adonis Stevenson, number 2.
Now, if most people don't know, you know what? The origin of this category was Adonis Stevenson.
He's been on the list since.
It's just his inaugural Adonis Stevenson Award.
Once again, you have the biggest fight of the year in his weight class. Two actually. You have the rematch with Kovalev and Ward. You also had Cleverly and Badu Jack. These are 2 championship fights in his division, and nobody is thinking about him whatsoever for a whole year. And you said if you old, you get a pass. He don't get a pass because he was doing this when he was young. Yeah. You know, this is what he does, to the point where even Kovalev, an active Kovalev, a retired Ward, and an active Badu Jack have all said, man, ain't nobody think about him. He ain't gonna fight nobody. Now,
he may fight Jack next. Let's see.
Yeah, even Jack said it after he won the belt. Man, ain't nobody think about that dude. He ain't gonna fight nobody. So that's the problem. Now, I'm gonna get to this number 1 because I got to Tank.
Yeah, I guess he didn't lose a fight, did he?
Nope. But you couldn't lose the weight.
Mm-mm.
You lost the belt. You lost. People look at you funny because of your things you did in the ring and the things you done out the ring, and your Twitter beefs. Right now, you taking L's. Even taking shots at Tevin Farmer after the fight. How can you necessarily take shots at him when most people feel like he was robbed? Not me, not so much. But they feel like he was robbed. You taking shots at him. If you would have made weight, you would have had the belt, and you wouldn't even be on Twitter talking this nonsense. You know, that's a problem. And I'm not even going to get into the beef you got with the younger guy who put you on blast. You are taking some serious... You are right now the Meek Mill of boxing. I got love for you, but you Meek right now. So, you know, that's you lost a lot, B.
My number 1 is the namesake of this award, and it's Adonis Stevenson. It's for all the reasons you said. I mean, it's his, like, every year he's the defending champion. It's his title to lose. That's the way I look at it. That guy is the most irrelevant, long reigning champion maybe in the history of boxing. I mean, it is insane how irrelevant he is. And now the WBC is looking into why he hasn't made a mandatory defense in 4 years. I think we know why. Adonis Stevenson and Tank are fighters who lost the most without losing the fight. Now there's the opposite. Now this one's a little bit more difficult sometimes to figure out. Who's the fighter who gained the most without actually winning a fight this year? That's always a tough one because that's where you have to think. It's easy to think of the guys who win and who are still a joke, but the guys who didn't win any fights but actually gained a lot of shit out of it. Who you got? I only got 2 guys this year.
Number 2, Vladimir Klitschko. One of the biggest fights of the year, heavyweight fight, great sellout. He legitimized Anthony Joshua in that fight. Not only did he legitimize Anthony Joshua, people had to look at Klitschko like, damn, you really weren't a sucker these last 10 years. You actually could fight. You could actually go in deep waters, even though he got knocked out. Because he could have actually won the fight. He could have, you could say either way, man, he could have actually knocked out Joshua if he'd have had a shot. So he actually legitimized all the things we've been saying about him for years. Like, the dude actually got heart, man. Mm-hmm. He came back old, hella rusty, and went out on his shield. He got everybody's respect at the end of the day.
And the funny thing is he wasn't on my list, but then after you think about what people thought of him after the Fury fight, and then what they thought of him after the Joshua fight, it was two different ways of thinking. My number 2. Here's a fight I never watched. I'm still proud I never watched it. I'm gonna go Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor. How much money did he make?
Mm-hmm.
He made a lot of money. Yeah. Well, when there ain't much else to do, and you made like $100 million. Well, look, you knew you weren't gonna win the fight, and it wasn't even really a fight. Even Mayweather came out and said, "Look, I carried his ass for taking 10 rounds. Just fucking come on, let's be honest. I could do this anytime I wanted." And we knew. If you didn't know it, then you're kind of a sucker, man.
That's why he's my number 1. He made more in 10 rounds than you can name your top 5, 10 fighters right now might have made in their career. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know why. I know why people took it seriously, but I don't know why they took it seriously.
I don't know either.
He has a concussion. This is why he won the most. He won the most money. He got on the biggest pay-per-view. He has the least amount of pay-per-view or champion or boxing rounds ever for a pay-per-view fighter, probably. As far as boxing is concerned. And how can I say this? And he got concussed by Floyd Mayweather at damn near 40, and he can't fight right now. Like, what? You found a technically, you got CTE from Floyd? Oh, Lord. You found the slickest out I've ever seen in my life. So, you my number 1 for that.
My number 1, and I kind of went out of the box on this one, a guy who was just recently reinstated. Tyson Fury, I'm going to go with. Because I think last year, he was the guy who lost the most without actually losing a fight. One of them, at least. But this year, he has gained everything back. Through attrition, through people dying for big fights at the heavyweight division after what we got with Klitschko and Joshua. And seeming how it doesn't seem like we're going to get that Klitschko, the Joshua Wilder fight anytime soon. The fact that Fury's come back, it's actually been kind of fun. And if you've seen some of his videos when he was doing the Eminem thing, fuck you, Eddie. I don't know, it just cracked me up. I gave him shit, but everybody deserves a second chance. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think something did happen to the guy now. When you look back at it, man, mentally this guy is disturbed in some way. But he's back, and already everybody's like, I'll take that fight. I want that fight, because they realize there's big ass money in that. In any kind of fight with Tyson Fury, there's going to be money involved.
Hell yeah.
He's probably the second biggest draw in the heavyweight division. He's past Wilder. I mean, he did the same thing. He sold out arenas. Him and Klitschko, didn't they sold out Wembley before he pulled out of it?
Yeah.
Him and Hay, him and Bellew, it doesn't matter. They would still sell. It doesn't matter how much of a joke the fight is. He's gained the most. That guy went from a joke, and he still may be, but he has put his name back in that mix.
Yeah.
And him and Joshua going back and forth on Twitter is a good thing. It's like him and Wilder are cool now for a while. Remember they were in the ring together talking shit, but now they're cool.
They're like friends that'll fight. That's what they look like. Like, we'll hang out together. If we get in this ring, we'll kick your ass. I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah.
But we'll figure that out when we get there.
And let's be like this too. Are you sure anybody beats him? No. Could they beat him? Sure. Anybody could knock his ass out. We've seen Steve Cunningham knock him down. But we also saw what Klitschko did to Joshua, and he didn't do that to
No.
Fury. So at his best, he's probably the best heavyweight still. At 70%, he's probably a tough matchup for anybody. He could lose or beat any of them. He's my biggest winner without winning a fight, man.
I like.
Well, what about the is it the superstar who fell the most?
Not that. No.
What are we at?
Most avoided.
The most avoided fighter. I only got one. I would have had two.
I got 3.
I would have had 2. Rigo got taken off. Why? Hey, you got the Lomachenko fight. You got the fight you
Yeah.
wanted. You've gotten 2 fights against pound for pound guys, and you ain't fought but 18 times. I can't call you avoided. So I was gonna take him off, but I was like struggling this year. Like,
I got a 3. We'll see.
all right.
Hitman Charlo moved up to 160, and in a division that's top heavy and loaded. It seems like nobody necessarily wants him.
Jacob said he wanted him.
Jacob said he wanted him.
Well, hey,
But you gotta get Jacob says when he says stuff, it comes.
he said he wants Triple G. He
Yeah,
fought Triple
true.
G, and he didn't fight scared. So I have to believe him.
Like him and his brother, when they say they want to fight somebody, I hear crickets most of the time. And him in particular, because they look at him like, this motherfucker, he might knock somebody the fuck out. So to move up to 60 and nobody say anything, even Billy Joe was like, as much shit as he talk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Triple G and Canelo, we work on this rematch. Like nobody has given him any, but you said Jacobs, but I'm like, I don't think nobody wants any parts of him. That's just my opinion.
Maybe not. Who got 2? Because I only got 1, so I had 2, but I took them off. So.
2 is Inoue. A year in that division where you got Rungvisai beating Chocolatito, you got Quadras, you got Estrada. They had the whole little card. But when Inoue name come up, everybody don't speak English on that card from every different fucking country. Just I don't know about that motherfucker right there. And he came back from hand problems.
Mm-hmm.
So you think, oh man, maybe this is a good time. Like, nah, I seen that last fight. I'm not really fucking with him.
There's
like
a lot of truth to that. Rungvisai is going to fight Estrada. Quadras doesn't have a dance partner. Chocolatito doesn't have a dance partner. There's Calyafai is up there. Is Ancajas? Is that right? Am I right or am I wrong division?
I know he has a fight with somebody right now.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he does. He's going to be on Superflight too. But I'm just saying, you don't hear those other big names calling his name out. Now, I think Estrada would fight him. I don't think Chocolatito would have. Maybe, I don't know. I say that, but he looked. I mean, he's got a heart of a champion. He's going to go out in a bad way at the end of his career. I think you might be right because those guys are all talking about everybody else in that division, but not really mentioning his name. I'll give you my number 1, and it's a guy in the light heavyweight division that is to the top. Pretty much across the board on all the sanctioning bodies. He's a guy who is probably more advanced, even in his young career, than I think Beterbiev, even Dmitry Bivol. Kovalev's there, even when Ward had won those titles. This guy's name is never brought up, and I've said this a while back that I don't think people want those problems. And it's Alexander Gvozdyk. And people at the light heavyweight division never mention his name. And I think that there's a reason for it because you don't want those problems unless you have to have those type of problems. That's a fight that you only fight if you have to.
True.
He's number 1 for Kovalev's belt, number 2 for Adonis Stevenson's belt, so he'll never fight Adonis Stevenson. So our only hope is that Kovalev will fight him, and I think that is a great fight. That's why I think that when we were talking about the World Boxing Super Series, that light heavyweight division is one that needs to be in there so we can make these fights that have to be made. And because what will happen is if Adonis Stevenson would, like, say they did that and Adonis Stevenson didn't get in it, it'd basically be time to strip him of his belt. Say, all right, you just don't want to fight nobody because everybody's here for you. Because I think everybody else in those top 8 would sign up in a heartbeat to get in there. And as much as Adonis Stevenson loves money and his cars, I think he's like, well, I don't want to work that hard for it. So, but Alexander Gvozdyk is my guy.
My number 1 is Deontay Wilder because in practical practices, he did everything that you're supposed to do to get under a fighter's skin to get fights. He even said, look, I'll go to Russia to fight you. I'm on them drugs. I'm going to the UK and kicking up dust with all you UK fighters. Who wants some? We don't really necessarily want them problems, B. I break my hand. I'm coming back. I'm calling out the champs. Joseph Parker, you want some? Anthony Joshua, you want some? I'm talking with an English accent, telling you're a little bitch. What you gonna do? I want to fight you. I want the best. And everybody else, and then say, he's not. He's beatable. Motherfucker, when he asked to fight you, then you didn't say anything. Then you got Kong, I want to fight you. I get popped for drugs. I'm back. I want to fight you. And then the guy looks you dead in your face and say, twice. First, he said it over phone. Don't fuck this up. Then you got popped. Then he says to your face, I gave you a chance already. And, I'll give you a chance again. Problem I have with it is, he's punked the whole damn division. They don't want to say that, but he punked the whole damn division. People bring his name up, but they bring his name up like, maybe one day. And this starts with Anthony Joshua. I mean, he's teeter-tottering on that Adonis Stevenson, I won the belt, I'm going to run shit. Because, honestly, he had the biggest payday for all heavyweights. And does he really need the U.S.'s money? No. Does he really need the U.S.? That problem, see if he can actually take a punch. Because if he gets knocked down by Klitschko, if he gets hit with that same 1-2 by Wilder, that shit's over. But here's the problem. Everybody says, well, he has punching power. So it depends on who hits who. No, it actually depends on who's willing to fight, though. And to me, since heavyweight division we needed a resurgence of it, and now it's back, and it starts the process of what goes on next. If you can't fight a champion holding the belt that came on your fucking turf, that said they will fight you in your country, to two different fucking countries, and have a guy in this country get popped for drugs when he's supposed to fight you, nobody want them problems. I'm sorry. I was long-winded. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man. I almost put Wilder down for my number 2. I didn't yet because I want to see how this plays out because we'll see if it gets the Ortiz fight, if they fight that fight, and maybe they're talking about Joshua at the beginning of 2019, which I think is probably the most likely scenario because they're so young that if they do let that marinate a little bit, they're going to make even more money because then you can build a 3-fight trilogy into it. Who knows? Eddie Hearn ain't going to do anything unless he has to. Let me tell you something. Joshua is a street guy, and it doesn't come out very often. So I don't think he's very happy. And the rumor is he's not really all that happy with Eddie. He's happy with the money, but he's kind of handled. You know what I mean? And we'll see. We'll see what happens when that contract runs out with Matchroom. Because don't be so shocked if he pretty much just goes damn near free agency. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just doing this shit on my own, and I'll bring you in, any promoter in at the time to help with that part of it. But I'm running my fucking Twitter. I'm running all this bullshit. I'm fucking doing, you know what I mean? So that's where I'm just like, I don't know. He's still got Eddie in his ear. I think, say, hey man, I can squeeze more money out of this. Trust me, it's not going to be, I don't know. I just, because of his background, I think that he's got more dog in him than what people think. That humble persona is kind of a persona and not necessarily him. The superstar. What is this? What
comeback fighter?
Comeback fighter? Damn, I'm way the fuck off, man.
No, you just went off.
Oh, okay. The comeback fighter of the year. Our 5th category. Wow, we're already there.
Yeah.
All right. Who you got?
My number 3 doesn't necessarily count because he hasn't fought yet, but it's my hope. It's Tyson Fury.
Mm-hmm.
Because mentally, he's on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
He's becoming the Tyson Fury. We know he's losing the weight, and in some essence, even if he gets into, even not if, but when he gets into the ring, it's a culmination of a lot of things. People who had mental issues who got themselves back together. People who had weight issues who got themselves back together. People who succumbed to maybe pressure and got themselves back together. So the fact that he's made the effort and made it public makes me more of a fan, because there are people in the world who have issues, and he can be an inspiration to those type of people, and so I'm hoping the best. And it's not really culminated till he gets in the ring, but I'm going to put a stamp on it now, because it takes a lot of heart to do the process in the first place, and he does it publicly. Mm-hmm. So that's number 3.
That was my number 3 as well, because you know how we do. We like to think a little bit out of the box. Right. It's easy just to go, oh, okay, well, this guy came back, and he was yeah. I'm with you on all those reasons. And he's back in the position that he likes. Mm-hmm. He likes being the underdog. He likes being the guy that people kind of don't think have it. He did not wear the crown very well. I don't think that's a position he likes to be in. I think he likes, it's almost like he's gotten big before, but he got even bigger this last time. And you know what? Let's be a side effect a lot of times of medications for mental health is you will eat and you won't move as much. And so he's gotten even bigger, but it makes him more of an underdog. And I think he lives for those types of moments. It does look like he's lost some weight. He's got a long way to go, but like I said, even at his size, even now, you give him one tune-up fight, he's going to be trouble for anybody, because he knows how to take away your best weapon. You know, that's at the heavyweight division, there's not a lot of guys who can do that, who can take away your best weapon, who can do what a Lomachenko could do, who could do what a Ward could do, or a Floyd, or, where they really can. What's your best weapon? I'm going to take that away from you. Now what do you have? Right. That's what he has. My number 2, and I just lost it. See what happens when you do a show this fucking early in the morning.
I get one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually got, how can I say this? I have technically 2 number 2s.
Oh, I got it now. Thank you. All right,
okay.
Go ahead.
Opposite reasons. Devin Alexander, because he actually came back and fought.
Yeah.
And he actually came back and he fought, looked good. So he's the culmination of what it looks like with Tyson Fury. So I give you much respect for that. And the other number 2, Tevin Farmer. Even though they say, he got robbed, he lost the fight, he got shot in the hand. Mm-hmm. So to get shot in the hand and come back and fight for a title, even though he lost, that's a comeback to me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So that
falls in line too with like some of the other stuff that I've had before good comebacks. The only one thing that I didn't like was the other day was he started whining about his hand, talking about, I wasn't really sure about my hand and I still fought. Like, don't say that shit now.
Right.
Just let that go. Just let people praise you for they thought you won. We know what you came back from. So you know what? Leave it at that. Don't start making the excuses. But I'm with you on that, because that is like you got shot in the hand. It's hard to. That's a hell of a comeback for me. I'm gonna tell you, a guy who has since retired, but what a comeback for Vladimir Klitschko for my number 2. Like you said, what we saw with him and Tyson Fury, looking old, looking slow, looking weak, looking mentally weak. Like, you could see like he didn't want that fight. After about 2 rounds, it was like, I ain't got nothing left. He tried to come on in like the 11th and 12th, but that was the heart of the champion coming out of him. But what we saw against the Joshua fight was what he had at the end of that Fury fight. And even though he was gone for almost 18 months, 2 years, some shit, it was like 2 years almost. And for him to push it that much, to have Joshua on the verge of being stopped, coming back from getting knocked down to knocking down Joshua, then getting stopped. I mean, and just probably he got more respect in that loss than he got in 10 years of reigning as a champion, I think, in a lot of people's eyes. Not everybody, because a lot of people are high on him, but I think the people who even doubted him, they had more respect for him in a loss than they did for all of his wins.
I gotta respect that. Number 1, here's another number 1 again, Deontay Wilder. He broke his hand. as a knockout puncher, he broke his hand. And he came back and he knocked out the person he couldn't knock out in the first round. Broke his hand, tore his bicep. That culminates all of it, you know, because he broke his hand numerous times before. That's nothing new with him. But this time it was like it's kind of bad. He's getting older. Let's try it. But the fact that he broke it, rehabbed it, came back, called out all of those fighters and knocked out the one guy in his career that he won the belt from that he couldn't knock out in one round. I got to tip my hat to that.
I think the buffet knocked him out as much as anything.
That too.
No, my number one is a guy who people have kind of forgotten about, a fan-friendly fighter. I don't know anybody who doesn't like Lamont Peterson.
Oh, man.
He comes back. He moves up. He finally moves up. He should have been moved up for a while now. He moves up to 147. Who did he fight? David Avanesi, and wins that WBA, the underneath belt, the regular belt. But has turned that into a fight with probably the best welterweight right now on the planet, in my opinion, in Errol Spence. Definitely the most dangerous. And as you know, I'll get into my reasons next month about that fight, why I'm not a big fan of the fight. But give him credit for taking it. That's one thing. We know Peterson ain't never going to duck anybody. True. Nobody ever say, and Lamont Peterson ducked that fight. That's not who he is. And people actually are hoping the best for him. You know, people are high on Spence, like Spence. But I tell you what, if Lamont Peterson was to somehow beat Errol Spence, there would be a lot of boxing fans who are happy because they like the story.
True.
They like the fighter, and they like the style of fights that he has. How can you not like a guy like Lamont Peterson? And when you're rooting for somebody and you see somebody come back, you know, I mean, look, he got what, a gift draw against Felix Diaz. I thought he beat Danny Garcia in a bad decision. Coming back from the knockout of Matisse, you know, he went through a tough 3-fight stretch. He's got the title back. I don't know if he's all the way back, and I don't think he is. But the fact that he turned it around, somehow got a piece of the title, and is fighting Spence, he's going to be on a big stage. Because anytime Spence fights right now, I think it's going to be a big stage. I love Lamont Peterson, man. I'm glad to see him get back to, you know, because I want him to have some more paydays, you know, especially I want him to be set in his life, because we know how hard it had been for him and his brother growing up. So, Lamont Peterson.
Much respect for that.
Oh,
shit. The fighter who made the biggest leap to superstardom.
Oh, number 6, the fighter who made the biggest leap in the superstar. You know what? I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to say, and he's not a superstar, but I think what he's doing was so under the radar. And finally it took a fight on ESPN. It took his 4th straight sellout to put his name, and then the number of people who watched Jose Ramirez fight in Fresno. And in the way he won that fight. You know, this is his biggest test. This is going to be tough. No, he just mowed right through him. Made a statement, you know, 1.5 million people. Probably, I don't know what the 2-day total was, but 1.5 million people watched on cable, which that's a lot.
Yeah.
At the time, it was the second most. I think it got passed by the Lomachenko fight. But the fact people say, oh, shit, man, this guy's selling this kind of tickets, the atmosphere. Look, he's limited. He's going to take some L's. But steered right, there could be some big-ass paydays for him and whoever he's fighting. We'll see. Now, him and the Amiri Mami fight, I think, is going on in New York, I think. Not a big fan of that when you got a place that can just sell out in Fresno and that atmosphere. I don't know.
I think they're trying to give Amam a home field advantage.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
We'll see.
You know, is he a superstar? No. Will he be a superstar? Probably not. But he has made the biggest jump from a guy who we've been talking about for years, and people finally got to see it firsthand.
Yeah, my number 3 is Errol Spence, even though we had him on the list about that, I think, last year. Because of the way he showed up against Brook. But not that. What it is the thing with Peterson, the thing that happened prior to that with Thurman added to the mystique. Don't nobody want those problems. Yeah, Thurman sits at the table and I fight. Yeah, Rick James style. I sat on his couch. Yeah, I sat on his couch. Like he said he'll fight him and then he backed out. That adds to the mystique. Like, oh, people really don't want them problems from this guy. And now, with Lamont taking the fight, like, oh damn, it takes Lamont Peterson to fight this guy. Oh, people really, you had to find the one fighter who don't give a damn who will fight everybody in the division to fight this guy. Okay, so it on the mystique level, it just adds to it. That's why he's my number 3.
Sorry about that, guys.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Mikey Garcia. Because he's doing it in a business way. Like, Mikey is one of the few fighters, like, I used to talk about great, like, basketball players like Michael Jordan, where he's great and they're so accustomed to him being great that they're not paying attention to what he's doing. Mikey is basically calling out fighters in 3-4 freaking divisions. Like, 35? Okay, you don't want 35, 40, 45, 50? Who wants what? And he keeps sitting at the table just doing his job. And he's so good at this point that even when you bring up Lomachenko, people are like, Lomachenko ain't ready for them problems. So he's on the track to be the face of boxing. So that's mine.
Number 2 for me is Sorung Vasai. At 115, when you take out the number 1 guy and then one guy in boxing at the time, and you got a fight with Estrada lined up, and if you win that fight, you got to have a fight with Inoue lined up. Especially at that lightweight that he is now an attraction. I don't know. Sorry, guys. I keep on getting shit popped up. 000117. There you go, guys. There's the verification code.